Yeah! Hello and welcome to this pretty interesting game on Urban Frontlines. We've got a 2v1 for you today between Hazamuth playing KDA and JazZka and Ogo playing as 35th US and 24th US. We're on Urban Frontlines. We'll cover the deck review and then we'll cover the deployments. So this is the KDA deck from the game we're about to watch. Because it's a 2v1, I believe he will get double availability on all of this as standard. But with it being a 30-minute game, there are some considerations to make with lowering availability, stuff like that. So, for example, instead of getting 20 reservists, and you should have 40, because it's a 2v1. So, looking at it tab by tab, getting a fob. If it's a 30-minute game, you might not want a fob, because basically this, which I guess you'll get two of, reloads once every 5.5 minutes. And if it's a 30-minute game, that's less, that's like 6 salvos, right? Or 12 if you've got if you've got two of them. So 12 times 800 is 9,600, and it's probably better to just have a third card of supply. But we'll see. I mean, the markers. Yeah, the supply cost on those isn't really huge anyway, because they fire really fast as well. As you can see, the reload is literally over a minute. So, you probably could swap this out for a third card of supply. But yeah, we got the standard CV here. I prefer this one to this one, simply because it's got more armor, so it can survive more stuff. If you are running napalm grads, etc. markers, you might want this because you can buy it and put it with your RT, but probably not worth it because it's a 3 cost AP, 3 AP cost. So let's have a look. 3, 4, 5, 7 CVs. Okay, fair enough. But given that it's 2v1, you'll actually have 14 CVs. So probably don't need that many CVs. And yeah, it's on Urban Frontlines. You don't need 14 CVs for Urban Frontlines, right? So you could get rid of these tank ones, replace it with something else. Infantry, between the CVs here, these guys only have 4 strength and 2 availability, whereas these guys have 8 strength and 3 availability, so they're a much, much, much better option because they're 3 availability, and they're 8 strength. So it's literally like twice as good. And they are more expensive, right? But it's mainly about the availability and the card. KDA Fiora is another interesting one because like these are cheap as well. So you can't see the price. So they're the same price as the Motshots and Fiora. They don't have all of the bells and whistles, right? But they've got 2 more strength. The main thing is that they're 3 availability. So you should consider swapping this out for one of these. Zargo tryhards are very worth it, especially considering the map is Urban Frontlines. You will like these a lot. DMR is generally quite broken right now, because they deal over 600 suppression in a minute. KDA Schutzen, yeah, the bread and butter. I personally think that these vehicles are not going to come in handy in Urban Frontlines at all. The SPWs might, but I think I suppose they're both called SPW. The BTR 60PB might, but this thing, it's only got a medium machine gun on it. Back in the day, it used to have a HMG on it, and it was very, very worth bringing, but I think it's not very useful. It doesn't have smoke or anything. It is faster to get there, right? But with it being Urban Frontlines, I think you're just missing a trick here, because if you could sell off all these trucks, you could buy way more infantry, which is what you really want. I don't think these are particularly useful, and you've got the Motshots and BTR if you want the BTR 60PB. This might be useful on this map because they fight with the strength of 2 men basically. So they fight with the. Sorry, I'm saying this wrong. The machine gun is like 2.1 rifles or something. So this is actually fighting with the strength of 9 men. Whereas this is obviously 9 men and they've got an RPG, right? But the fact of the matter is these are very cheap and much cheaper. They're literally, a third less the price. And if you really want all of these SPWs, you know, you could bring this in the SPW. And so you might want to consider it. I don't know, it's up to you really. And then Pioneers, yeah, you need your satchels. Pioneer Flams, yeah, you need your flamethrowers. Conkers, I wouldn't bother updating this. Although you're going to have 8 of them because it's 2v1. Yeah. The point of the Conkers is as soon as it's being shot, you should probably be getting out of there. So there's not really any point in having the stress resistance. 5% accuracy, sure. So that's that. Looking at the artillery tab. Just edit that part out. So looking at the artillery tab, we've got the Malkas, which we spoke about. Yeah, Malkas are good. You will have the ability to buy 4 of them, which is interesting, and 2 napalm grads, which is interesting. Certainly interesting. I mean, maybe you don't need 2 Malkas. Maybe you don't need 4 Malkas. Maybe you only need 2 Malkas, in which case you can get rid of a Malka and bring a 120mm mortar. And you probably don't need 8 of those, so you can upvet it, so you get 4 of them. It's just an interesting idea because it's a 2v1 in a 30-minute game. Tank tabs, so the CV tank we spoke about, I mean, it can be useful in Urban Frontlines in the middle. And yeah, the mortars are going to be smoking if you were to bring them. And that would help you with capping the middle zone because we all know what that's like. Yeah, this thing, max vet, fair enough. This thing, max vet, fair enough. Well, sorry, max vet, you can bring it. 1 vet. This thing, 1 vet, fair enough. You probably don't need this. I can't see this being very useful on Urban Frontlines. And if you want the ATGMs, you've got 2 of them already. You've got 8 of them. Times 2, you've got 16 of them already. Do you really need another 12? So something to consider there. Recon, so Recon Helo, fair enough. This thing, fair enough. And these guys, fair enough. If it was a 1v1, you might run out of Infantry Recon. But because it's a 2v1, you've actually got 12 of these, so you're probably not going to run out. AA, do you really need 8 bucks? Because you got to keep in mind, everything's doubled, right? This is rough, man. 4-2-1. Although you'd still have 4. So, yeah, you might want to get rid of a card of books, and then that'll give you some points for something else. Or better yet, if you really want to keep them, you upvet the books. But honestly, I would consider bringing this, because that is really good infantry fire support for you. Really good. And it's got decent armor as well. So like something like that, I mean, given that you would still have 4 books, so you might... No, I suppose probably fine to leave it like that. 4 Osas, 16 Strellas, sorry, 12 12 Strellas, and 6 of these. So there's something to consider. Heli tab, yeah, fair enough, you bring in the Kokons. Can be worth, I mean, you've got the fob, right, so it can be worth bringing this. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, you would have 4 of these because it's 2v1. And then the air tab, you're now going to have 8 ASFs, which is a lot. You would have 2 seed planes. If this was a 1v1, I would consider not upvetting that. Because if you just lose it to RNG, which happens all the time, doesn't matter that you get 68% ECM, right? 60 in the bottom right and +8 in the top left there. So yeah, I'd consider downvetting that. I'd consider swapping this out for this bomber. The AT plane, fair enough. The cluster plane, fair enough. Yeah, I guess the way you're going to kill the infantry in the town is with these. So that's the deck review. A bit of a weird one because it's 2v1. So this is the deck review for one of the opponents, Ogo. And I'm being a bit of a silly Billy here. We should probably look at them both at once. What's he called? JazZka. You're working with a team, and you should try to synergize with your team. So first things first, one of them is bringing a fob. That's very intelligent. You don't need 2 of them to bring fobs. 1 is probably enough. Looking at the 24th deck, I mean, so between them they've got 8 ASFs, which is probably decent between them. And between them they've got 6, 7, 8... 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 CVs, which is a bit on the high side for this map. Like one of you might be able to remove a card of CVs. But yeah, I think it's reasonable that this guy's only brought 5. Given that this guy is bringing 8, and the map doesn't need that many CVs. So looking in depth at this one, we spoke about the fob. These things are tracked, right? So it's always worth having some wheeled supply. I would honestly get rid of these and bring one of these. So certainly, 6,000 supply for 200 points is different. 6,000 supply for what is that, 240 points. But this is wheeled, and because it's in a smaller denomination, you can get it around a lot more easily. So I prefer the M35 supply, and because you can only get 1 card, and then you bring this one, you can use this for your artillery or whatever. So yeah, 1 fob between them makes sense. Looking at this, I don't play a lot of 24th. But what I would say is that, are you going to be bringing that many air cav troopers? Probably not. You might want to up-vet that by 1. Toe 2 makes sense. Flash makes sense. I mean, you're fighting in a town, so you might want to bring all these. That makes sense. And then in terms of the National Guard Bradley spam, and the regular Bradley spam, this military police unit is good because they've got military police 10 men for 50 points. It's not bad. I'd probably leave that 1 vet. You might want to get rid of some Bradleys, 1 card of Bradleys somewhere, and bring like you might want to get rid of this one and then bring some engineers, because you're gonna be fighting in a town. It's Urban Frontlines, and you could really use some satchels. Like, do you really need, what is it, 25 Bradleys in the town? Maybe not. Maybe even 26. I wasn't paying attention. Engineers Dragon is sensible. Fire Team Dragon, they've got the Dragon 2. Fire Team Law for just your infantry. Like, do you really need all these Bradleys? We'll see. Arty Tab, this thing is really bad. It really is. I mean, in a team game with a fob, I can understand it, because you don't get RM70s, right? You're NATO. You don't get grads, you're NATO. It's really not that great. But what else would you do? I guess bring 1 less of these and 2 more of these. Keep in mind that these guys do not get twice the availability because they're on the side with the 2 players. This thing, something that you've probably not noticed, is that this reservist trait makes it reload really, really slowly. But the start card doesn't tell you. The reservist trait reduces your reload speed by like 20%. So this is going to reload really slowly, but the start card doesn't tell you, which is why you watch the Hippie YouTube videos. So for your 20-point saving, it's not worth it. Get rid of that and put this in. Tank tab, so big issue here. First of all, you should definitely have one of these ITO cards. They're really, really useful for sending around the sides. Even on a map like Urban Frontlines, you just send them around the sides and snipe everybody's stuff. The CEV is very bad, and it's bad because of the aim time. The aim time is very bad. 6-second aim time. Things just flit in and out of cover. Generally, you just get hit by an ATGM, and then you can't smoke, and then you die. So it's really not good, and if you want fire support, you've got plenty of Bradleys. The Bradleys, I'm pretty sure, in the open, they definitely kill things faster than the CV. In buildings, the CV does not have cover reduction. It's got pure damage, right? It doesn't get cover reduction, and you'll notice that that is also not described anywhere on the stat card, but you know it because I'm telling you. So I'd get rid of that and maybe get that. And then, do you really need, 12 plus, do you really need 24 Abrams? Probably not. So I'd be upvetting these at the bare minimum, and then once you run out of these, maybe you can bring these. Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced that you need all of those. Save yourself some points. Recon tab, so okay, if you want an ACAV, you could, oh, they changed it, never mind. After I cheesed it, I'll take it all back. Oh no, it might be the other division. I think it's 35th that gets the National Guard ACAV. So yeah, the ACAV makes sense. Scouts in Hueys, Sure, and then the sniper is really good, especially on this map. So that all makes sense. What you could consider bringing is this thing. If you need to cover wide bodies of ground, it's useful to have this. Um, and basically, the problem you're going to have with your tanks is that they won't be able to see anything. So you can get this and put it with your tanks. It's only got good optics though, so you can also get the ACAV and put it with your tanks. So that's a way to fix it. No recon helo, but I think his teammate might have one, so it makes sense. Chaparral's Pivad Stinger, yeah, that's fairly normal. Do you really need 7 Pivads? Yeah, you might be better off upvetting that. And Helis, so okay, so the Apaches and then the Tow Cobras. Sure, I mean, surely you've got enough ATGMs and you'd rather have more rockets. The Tow Cobra's only got 14 rockets, but it's just personal preference, really. Then AirTab, you've got the Eagle, the Strike Eagle, the Phantom AA, and the Cluster. I would instead, with those 3 points we just saved, get rid of this, get a second Strike Eagle, and get a Weasel. And depending on whether or not you knew you were against KDA or not, you need the seed for the Bucks and the Osas. He doesn't get great fighters, right? So you need the seed for the Bucks and the Osas, and you never send the Strike Eagle out without the seed. In a 1v1, you can get away with it. In a team game, like your enemy's basically playing for 2 players, he will have AA. He will have a lot of Bucks. And so you send the seed out first. Like, this thing is honestly just garbage. It is really terrible. Do not bring that. If you want a low-level bomber or whatever, just bring this. So that's the 24th deck. And then the 35th deck, which I have even less experience with. These guys got nerfed a lot. But the first thing I would point out is what you want to do. Your teammate's got a fob. You got to work with your teammate. You got to play as a team. You got to work with your teammate. So you should use a heli supply to move things to and from the fob to near the front lines, and then trucks to take it the rest of the way. So I would get rid of this and replace it with a heli supply, and that is how I would do that. But it requires you to work with your team. Here, there's not a lot of infantry here. So yeah, the main way this used to be played, I have a very itchy nose today, I do apologise, is that you used to spam out National Guard M67s, but this one like had its availability just go to like nothing. This is now just a trash unit, and it costs the same as this one, even though you're basically getting a rank of vet for free on this one. You don't need shock. Shock doesn't matter. So this shouldn't be 50 points, basically, but it is. So I can understand why you're not bringing it. But the point of this division is that you spam M67 recoilless rifles. So can be worth bringing that. Yeah. National Guard Flam. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. M67, that makes sense. And then 2 of the National Guard Dragons. Sure, the problem you've got here is that you don't have any close range AT. Like, this can obviously shoot at close range, but it's not really close range AT. You don't have any laws, so it might be worth bringing some laws, fitting some laws in somewhere. Artillery tab, so 2 of these. I mean, yeah, because you're National Guard. Oh, hey, we forgot something. So you really, 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 really need to bring these guys for the vehicle. So I'd be tempted to get rid of one of these CV cards because you got plenty of CVs between your team anyway. Depending on which one you want to get rid of. The snipers are OP, so get rid of this one. And then you get this, and you get it for the military police vehicle. Because, as we discussed before, this has minus 15%, I think it's 15%, it might be 20, reload speed, but the game doesn't tell you, it just lies to you. Same with this, got minus 15 to 20% reload speed, 81-second reload, you know, it's really not great. So it's very low, you know? So you can buff that back up by first putting a CV with it, which you brought, and secondly, you get rid of the reservist trait by putting the military police vehicle with it. So that's how you do that. And then the same with all of these are reservist. All of these are reservist. This div, oh, well, apart from the CV tank, right? This div has been nerfed into the ground. These all have really low availability, even though they're reservist. Darix hates spam, basically. Anything that's spam, he hates. So this div has been nerfed because of that, because it's a spam div. They're not allowed to be good. So you gotta play something else. But if you really want to play this, you really need those military police vehicles, because they will turn your rise tanks from reservist tanks into regular tanks if you keep that vehicle with them. So you really need to be bringing military police in general with this division, because, I mean, look, you got everybody's reservist. So you can use the MP unit for buffing up your guys, and then you use the MP vehicle to buff up your vehicle guys. So that's how you do it. Like, you can't play this div without without military police. So it's quite a high micro div. This thing only has mediocre stealth, so I prefer this thing because it's got good stealth. You also get more of them, and it's cheaper. The thing is, obviously, this has got smoke and 1 armor. It's not really going to make a difference. So just bring this. And yeah, the CEV, we spoke about this, is terrible. And with it being a reservist, it would be even worse. So I can understand why you're not bringing it. So you got plenty of tanks here. Yeah, so like you might want to get rid of 1 card of rises so that you can. Oh, never mind. Recon tab. So, I mean, the National Guard Cav Scouts Dragon is good, but this is a 3-point slot for 4 guys, right? And you've already got them. So then you can bring some more infantry. So you could bring, like, this would actually be really useful in the towns. And this, like, particularly for urban frontlines, just having loads of these is actually really useful because they deal decent damage, right? And they're only 10 points, so there you go. You can throw that in there, and then you've still got your, your National Guard, whatever. You're missing out on your National Guard ACAV, right? Yeah, this thing you basically have to bring, and this thing is a funny meme. Oh, neither of you have a recon helicopter. I mean, in urban frontlines, I suppose you don't really benefit from having one, because if you get close to the front, it just dies to all the guys in the buildings. But you got a recon plane, which I guess fulfills a similar role, and you can do the funny smoke thing at the start. And then we've got the Sewi, which is just a recon unit with a sniper, and snipers are... Well, this is a DMR. DMRs are OP, deals over 600 suppression a minute, so it's worth bringing it. And then, this might be useful, but probably isn't. So that all makes sense. This thing, yes, you need to bring. You do not need 20 stingers, so you can either up there and have 14, but the better idea would be get rid of this and put this in, and then there you go. You've now got some fire support. This thing is pretty good against infantry, and you're against KDA. You're 35th, so you don't really have a lot of anti-infantry, right? It's going to be pretty tough for you. Tanks in closed space is not great, so this is very helpful against the enemy infantry. You might even want to downbed it so you can bring loads of them. Heli tab, yeah. Surprised you bring in the so that, like, do you really need to kill vehicles that bad? This has 3 availability. I certainly don't think this is very useful. I would get rid of that and put that in, but obviously this is cheaper, but I honestly just can't get these to work. It's got 6 HP, so it can survive Strela hits, but I can't get them to work. If you can, great. Maybe we'll see it this game. So yeah, the ASFs, that's fair enough. 2 RGBTs, yeah, it's just, you need to not bring these. They're very, very, very bad. It's very bad. If you want to kill a tank, and you're against KDA, so you don't really need to kill that many tanks. You've got the LGBTs. I would, if you want to kill a tank, I would bring this, because this has 60% accuracy, 30 pen Mavericks, and doubles as an ASF. And this is honestly just garbage. And yeah, if you want to kill infantry, you can bring this. In 1v1s, there's a case to be made for these, but all their prices went up. Basically, I killed Darix with 3 Alpha Jets in a minute that I bought, and then he made all the prices of all these cheap things go up, so you can't buy 3 in a minute. Sorry, guys. So that's the deck reviews, and now we will get on with the game. So, looking through the deployments. Oh, well, okay, first let's talk about the matchup. Basically, it's a 2v1. Hazamuth told me that some of his friends refused to play with him, and that I should call them out, and so he's forced to play by himself. But what that means for Warno, but not for Broken Arrow, is that you get double the income, which you do in Broken Arrow, but you also get double the availability. So you see he's got 2 fobs here. Even though fobs only come at 1 per card, it's because it's 2v1, he will get double the availability, so that's very interesting. But it makes it kind of hard because one man has to control all these units, right? So looking at the deployments, we've got JazZka on the left and Ogo on the right. I think 30-50 US is kind of bad. First things first, if you should not have your guys on the sides here. They should be on the roads, trying to get in through the roads. You don't want them, because I assume that the edge of the zone is here, and so he just put them all there because he's like, it's the edge of the zone. But you want them on the roads, because they're going to have to now go to the roads. So if you just put them in a line here, they would get to where they're going faster, right? But yeah, he's got an ACAV, National Guard, Dragon, couple gunships, lots of National Guard, Cav Scouts, Dragon. As we saw in the deck review, we had 2 cards of those. So, yeah, can you get them in a car? Because obviously, if you're bringing them like this, they get there really slowly. But I can't remember from the deck review if you get them in a car. I should have pointed that out at the time. I'm pointing it out now. So yeah, he's trying to move up. Keep in mind that KDA does not get forward deployment. They get some recon, right? KDA Aufklärer and regular Aufklärer, which actually is not brought, which is interesting. So you should be getting there first. If these were in cars, you definitely would. And certainly these scouts, you could probably get there first, probably. We'll see. So lots of National Guard guys going into Fedor, going into the middle of the map. It's generally a lot of infantry. And yeah, some Rolands that has been right-clicked instead of fast moved, so that's just going to go across the path and everything, so that's going to take ages, and that has been right-clicked instead of fast moved as well. You can press N for attack fast move, and then it will, well, to be honest, with these, you don't want to be you don't want to be fast moving them anyway. You don't want to be attack moving them anyway, because when the plane comes over, it'll fire its missile, and as soon as the plane leaves its radius, if it was stood still, the missile would continue tracking for 2 seconds for a radar one and 1 second for a non-radar one. This is radar, so it would be 2 seconds. If you are if you are on an attack move order or a fast attack move order, as soon as it leaves the radius, it'll start moving again and it will lose the tracking on the missile. So this should just be on a regular fast move order, and this should be on a regular fast move order. And then we've got 3 CVs. 4 CVs. 5 CVs. That's a lot of CVs. I wouldn't buy that many CVs. I mean, certainly you can unload this here and then load it back up and then put it in here. You definitely don't need 2 CVs in center. I think that's a bit overkill. But yeah, that's interesting, and they're both by the same guy as well. One is fine, and you certainly don't want to be dropping them in the middle. You want it back here or behind this house, or yeah, behind this house. You don't want to be just dropping them in the middle like that. So looking at Ogo's stuff, he's got the CV. We'll see how useful that is, and the Pivads. Fair enough. I mean, I guess the long range is the Rolands, but if they'd bought Eyehawks, the way you generally play KDAs, you spam the MiG-21 Bison Bomber, which gets one-shot by Eyehawks, but not by Rolands, but he hasn't actually brought it, so I guess it doesn't really matter if you don't bring the Eyehawk in this case. But generally, if you've got 2 guys, you want one guy to bring the highest range they can to cover both people. They've got 1 fob between them, which is fair enough. Keep in mind this is a 30-minute game, so you probably don't need a fob. And then we've, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 CV opener, and they're all going, like, 2 are going here. None of the CVs are going to Chariton. Oh, no, I tell a lie. Hang on, I count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 CVs. Don't open 8 CVs, hippie top tip. Just buy one, yeah, for here. You really only need 2 CVs on this map. One goes Gregory, Chariton, Ivan, and one goes Fedor Center. You can bring 3 if you're feeling really zany, but you definitely don't need 8. Switching to their opponent's deployment. We have one man playing with the power of 2. Hazamuth here. I don't think you're going to go through 2 fobs in 30 minutes. I don't even think you'll go through 1 fob in 30 minutes. Generally, you want some recon guys up front so that they can secure ground early. Yeah, okay, I can understand protecting your flanks. So we got a sizable force of reservists and conkers and AT weapon here. But so the AT weapon going there is interesting. Sure, there's no AA in this block. You should really have some AA in this block in case they do, some helicopter attack or something. Really, I think Blue's opener is really conservative. I would have one guy playing center, and I would have one guy attacking Anna, and the guy who's playing center would also secure Ivan. That's how I'd do it. So then we've got a bunch of reservisten. So what is that? 6 reservisten and a CV going up to here without any AA mixed in. And then we've got more people. We've got 2 CVs. These guys like CVs. So that's a 4 CV opener? I think it's overkill. You just get one for, Elena center and get one for Dmitry Borisana. You don't need 4. So we got a lot of pioneers, so yeah, that makes it's all very sensible. Reservist and sure, 2 conkers. They're going quite far back. I mean, really, you should be able. You should have one in here, and if you want one back here, that's fine. But you could also put it here. And then the CVs. So once again, no AA mixed in with that. Like just buy 2 fewer reservisten on each line and just put some AA and some OSAs, right? You got those OSAs. So here we've got more reservisten. They're going for a later, which generally people don't attack. Like you need like 1 unit here. You should really be taking this at the start because that'll tell you if they're going for a later. And then everybody else can be like here, attacking into here. But generally, if you're on red side, the way you should play this is to push Fedor. So what you do is you hold center like here, here, and try and get these buildings. But you push Fedor because Fedor's a lot easier to push than Elena, Boris, or Sheraton. So red side of the map is better because you can push Fedor by just moving up through all these houses here and getting into Fedor that way. And then, you put an ATGM there or something, they can't even reinforce it properly. And by moving up here, the position, if you're on blue side and you're trying to attack into here, you risk getting shot in the side by the units who are slowly moving through all these houses. So that's how you should play it if you're on red side. And then we've got some tanks going to the middle of nowhere. I mean, you've got your recon unit. If it sees somebody, then buy a helicopter or something. You don't need to waste so many points just going to here just to sit there. So we'll cast the game and we'll do it from this perspective. Right, so they're off, and it's time for me to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joining the channel. They get the names on the screen, they get the videos early, they get members exclusive videos, they get early access to my hit game Hearse Hero in 2025 if they fill out the survey, which most of them haven't done. And it's a great way to support the channel. If you beat a high level player, you could get a tier 2 or a tier 3 channel membership. And then you could send me a game to cast. That's part of the rewards. And then you could be like, look, Mom, I beat Homelander. Homelander's a very popular choice. I get a lot of games of people who have beat Homelander, and they want me to cast them. Very popular choice. I guess simply because he plays a lot, and he's a very well-known player. I can take some credit for that. But yeah, it's a great way to give back and to look cool on the internet. You want 2,000 people to see you beating a high-ranked player, right? So yeah, no mortars for smoke, no tanks for fire support, just 10 trillion infantry. I mean, it's really something. And Yeah, I mean, if you've got all these points, you might want to back it up with a couple mortars for smoke. I wouldn't open with the, like, I would buy the Napalm Grad now, after your first tick's income, which for Hazamuth would be 520 points, because he's playing for two people. I would now buy a Napalm Grad. But instead he buys 2 books, because the thing with the Napalm Grad is that it takes ages to reload. So he buys 2 books and a plane, so I guess that's his AA. I guess he was expecting some helicopters. Diving all this is not intelligent, but his opponents haven't really brought much AA, and these are on move orders instead of attack moves, so they're not even shooting. But here we go. So Phantom, like, this hasn't been right-clicked properly, so it's not turning to face him. So he gets out there, and first blood. So Recon Helo going down there to the plane. The commander's leading the way there for blue. Commander's just sat in the middle of the field, dying to 10 trillion infantry. Yep. This is, so you want to put it like in this building, in this building. Oh yeah, and then like this one's great. You put it behind this house, and then you're covered. Nobody can shoot you. So the M67s. I was going to say, why aren't they firing their rifles, their recoilless rifles? He's put them on move orders instead of attack move orders, so they're just walking forwards and dying. Whereas you really want the M67s in these houses, and then they can fire their, their funny M67s, and you should have a supply behind them, which you do, but that should be like here. And then your other guys can do the moving up. But yeah, using the Strike Eagle there to kill some pioneers, that's fair enough. And yeah, he did actually make it in here. Just something. I'm not sure why they bought 2 CVs for this. It doesn't make it cap twice as much. It might make it faster. I've never actually tried that. And here we go. So both players brought cluster planes against KDA. And so they will now spend the rest of the game clustering infantry and not really doing a whole lot. So they should have brought the AA equivalents. And, the books are out. These are fired, so they should now move. And, typically the enemy should be getting some damage on that. So I'm surprised he's gone for 2 Malkas instead. Like, that's literally his minutes income, because that's 2 minutes income from a regular person. I would get the Napalm Grad and start hitting all this. But yeah, he's bought a bunch of supporting assets, so he's now got 4 books, which is excessive. And you see, like, none of these guys helped in that fight, whereas most of Blue's guys were involved, and like, these guys weren't helping. So Red gets pushed out because most of his guys weren't helping. So this is interesting. So Ogo is saving up his Hueys, which is probably a good idea, actually, because you can use them with the Cobras and Apaches and whatever. And yeah, I don't think either blue player has seed between them. I can't remember. And yeah, so these guys should be moving now before the next rounds come in, but they're not. Sadly, the way artillery works in this game is you either direct impact into your foot. There we go. And yeah, no smokes from either team. I certainly do believe that they should, like, if Red wants to get in here, you can smoke this corner and run in. Otherwise, everybody shoots you. I think he's just going to go for the high rise. 2 recon planes out now, and honestly, I think like, one of the blue players should have tried to push this, I think. If not now, then later. I'm not sure what the point of this is. I guess it's just making sure nobody got around them. And then these Bradleys, they've got TOW2s on them, so if you want to cover your bases, you put one there, and you put one there, instead of just leaving them here. Well, they're not really doing anything. Oh, I guess maybe this wasn't two CVs going here. Maybe I misread it, and one of them was just a fire team law, and there was only 7 CVs instead of 8. I think the point is still a good point. You don't need to open that many CVs. But yeah, Red, his second waves arrived now, and He's got the He's not getting any Shorad, right? He's got 4 bucks. Yeah, we can see him buying the Strellas here, but no Strellas, and so the gunships are just gonna eat him for breakfast for a bit. This Roland should now move. The LGBTs are diversifying East Germany, and this is gonna die now because there's 4 bucks there, which is why you need the seed, particularly when you're against KDA. So National Guard M109s purchased here, and they will shoot really slowly unless you put a CV next to them, and you've got all these CVs. All these CVs. All these CV... You also lost 2 here, if you recall. So yeah, it was 7, not 8. My bad. And like all these units, they're not doing anything. You need to use them to help. Ogo needs to help JazZka a bit here. And that's sort of the thing that when you're 2v1, that's something that you can do if you're the 1. You can just try and punch down one of the players as hard as possible and then hope that the second player doesn't help him that much, which he is kind of doing. Like he's got some guys here, but most of them aren't. And yeah, so basically this CV, you just press F and you press this, and then this will now reload faster when the CV is next to it because it will lose its reservist trait, so it'll start reloading a lot faster. Well, like you can see, it's literally got a 62-second reload time there. So, life goes on. Things slowing down a little bit now. Like Red's got loads of CVs as well. He could put some CVs next to his Malka. He could just click this, click F, and click on his Malka, and then his Malka would shoot faster. And keep in mind that between, you know, so the 35th player, JazZka, doesn't have any military police for his National Guard division, which you really do need. And so these guys don't have, you know, they're all reservists. And yeah, so he's figured it out. He's figured out that Fedor's the best place to attack. He's got a CV here, but he can't put it in because he's not smoking. You know, you could smoke with the Malkas. Obviously, we know from the deck review that he didn't bring mortars, which would be really good on this map for smoke. And he did actually end up putting the Conkers here. So really, blue should have a TOW 2 here. And then there would be a lot of dead T-62s. But yeah, I appreciate him hitting that building. That is always a good idea. And these tanks are just going to the mid. And he's not bought any, like, AA with them. So what you could do is get the tanks over here, you know, kill all this, and then try and get in here with the tanks with some infantry and stuff. We see this a lot with, like, players that don't play as many games, where they just buy, like, 10 of one thing, and then 10 of the next thing. You want to not do that. You also don't want to be just YOLOing your planes into 4 bucks. Because you know about the 4 bucks because they killed your LGBT, right? And then you're just sort of reinforcing failure there. You need seed. Though I don't think there is seed from the deck review, so just like stop buying planes basically. Try and use some arty to kill the bucks. So, you know, Hazamuth, he could have got his CV in here ages ago if he'd used the power of smoke. Or what you do is you just turn off cover down here. You just press this twice so it goes to nothing. And then you just run it behind this house. And then he doesn't jump into the house because you've turned off the cover. We see this has now been reinforced. You never want 4 guys in one building, particularly when there's like Malkas flying around. And I'm just really surprised by Red's purchases. Like, Malkas, sure, but where are the 2 napalm grads? Like, you need those out as soon as possible. You put them in the deck, so it would be cool. You know, you could just napalm grad all this, smoke this, and then run the CV in. So he's still got cover on, so he will get in, and then he will start jumping into this building and dying, which is deleterious. So you see, because he's got auto cover, so there you go, see? He gave up control, he finished a right click, and now he's going to die. So, you got to turn off that cover, man. And now he's trying to run behind it, right? We don't see the queued order. But as soon as he stops clicking it, yeah, he just runs back in, because he's got auto cover on, and he just runs back up to the building, and then he gets shot again. So, you got to turn off the cover, man. That was a bomber. It didn't go so well. And we've now... Yeah, still 2 markers. No CV with them. A shame, given all the CVs on the map. And that is a Strike Eagle moment. So now you, yeah, you run away. Wow. Okay. These books are not moving. Oh, never mind, that one is. So you can counter battery them with some artillery. I think like blue's got a fob as well, so I'm surprised. For starters, you don't really want to be shooting from next to your fob. I'm surprised to not see the 35th M110s with the CV and a military police next to them. Because then they would shoot faster. As we spoke about in the deck review, if you're reservist, even on your artillery, you get very, very rubbish aim times, and the game doesn't really tell you. The game does not tell you, but it's like literally like minus 15, minus 20%, something like that. I'm trying to see. So like, here's a military police. National Guard Abrams, reload time 6.6 seconds. Is there any that's not next to a military police? Does it look like it? So yeah, it makes sense to try and use this on the exposed flank, right? And he's got some shore red here now for the tow cobra. And those Malkas are getting a lot done. They'd be getting a lot more done if they had a CV next to them. I'm trying to find an example. So this is buffing National Guard Abrams, but that's the only National Guard Abrams hit. But yeah, this is probably dead because it is now flying over the middle of the map where the two Rolands are, and down it goes. And that was not worth it for a 75-point thing, although he did get the F-16. Although I think they also helped with that. So, okay, I missed this. This is another thing you can do when you're 2v1. You can suddenly put 520 points down a flank, and the enemy cannot really react. I mean, all of this could be being moved over to help. He seems to have not really noticed yet. There's only... Oh, there are two Osas here, so that's something. He's not reacting, so I think Red's got a pretty decent chance here. Certainly from Red's perspective, like, so he's got the tanks, he's got the AA, he's got the infantry, clearly. That's why you don't clump up your Bradleys. This is a multi-roll, so it might actually kill that Phantom. But he could be moving these up, you know, to help. And he could also be bringing some recon, you know, some recon infantry with this. Because that is a lot of guys that can't see. And, yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. It'll probably get a lot of those. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, it got 6. So yeah, you don't want to really be clumping up like that. Like when you attack, you can spread them out over a wider front, and then that doesn't happen so much. But yeah, the fact that they're bringing the cluster... Wait, that could be going for the tanks, really. These Osas are doing quite well for themselves. But yeah, blue's on a +2 because red, you know, he didn't get in the zone properly, basically. Yeah, the Osas need to move up now. We've got that Apache. That Apache's going to get a lot of kills. Oh, that's one way of doing it. Both the Stingers miss. And here we go, National Guard Abrams, 6.6 second reload time, whereas this one has the reservist trait removed, but the stat card lies. The stat card lies. So you'll be... This is why people bring these, even though they're worse than the regular ones, because they shoot 15% slower. So you got to buy a military police vehicle, which is 25 points, at which point you might as well just buy the proper ones. So that is something worth considering. And yeah, this has worked. Although he didn't bring a CV. Like, you got so many CVs, man. Another thing he could have done is bring all of these with that push, because they're just kind of sat around not doing anything. And then he would have had a lot more extra fire support to die to that cluster plane. And he should have brought this CV up, because you don't need them in the zone to keep the zone capped. I do wonder if they know that, actually. You guys know that, right? You don't need... Because I've noticed... I'm noticing. Like, this had one in it as well. Yeah, you don't need them in the zone to keep the zone capped. just in case you didn't know that. So yeah, the CV might What? These are in the wrong building. So you see, it's really not that great. I mean, it stuns units, but you're better off just bringing Bradleys. Obviously, if you're 35th, you can't bring a Bradley. So HE bomber here, and you want to send some forwards and some backwards. These Stingers are missing everything. And he definitely could have got out of the way of that if he'd just gone forwards into here and forwards into here. He would have been fine. It takes 9 seconds for the bombs to drop. So it was a pretty nice try from Red, and these guys will get a shot off. Oh, it'll be a rear shot as well, so... yeah. Here comes the CV. I mean, I guess he is going to get in, because Blue... I'm not sure. I mean, these are actually out of rounds, but I guess they won't know that until this scout shows up. Over here we go. So he bought all those tanks, and this is what they were for. And he brought no AA with them. Here's the AA. No infantry with them. You need to bring infantry with your guys, and you keep them in the transport so they can get up there mega fast, right? That CV's almost in, maybe. But yeah, I feel for Red. I mean, it's kind of hard to control. What is that, like 100 units easily by himself? Here we go, he bought them, he's just not used them yet. And he's not put the CV next to them. And he should probably have them near the fob. Not next to the fob, but near the fob. And as we spoke about, yeah, two fobs, not a good idea, 30 minutes. Probably could have just brought 3 cards of supply, as we spoke about in the deck review. So... that is a lot of kills there. A lot of kills there. The game only says 2. It was definitely more like 4. And yeah, so now the reason that happened is because he's blobbing them all up, and so now he just blobs them all up over here. No, you need to spread them out. Send one there, get one here. You know, you want some here so they can shoot down the road. You want like a couple here so they can shoot down this road. And you want a CV. One of these 10 trillion CVs that you've got could be sent over here, because right now you're in a zone, but you're not capping it. And over here, Red has noticed that he can go for Fedor. Certainly, Red could really do with buying some recon infantry. Blue have done a pretty good job of that, actually. They've got scouts here, right? And they've got some scouts here, stuff like that. So that is useful. But they, like, Red's just not really got any. And also his, like, Strela to KDA ratio is not great. So, you know, the SPWs, if the enemy doesn't kill him, then, like, that's really weird. Like, this isn't shooting that, even though it's shooting him. He's got a dragon, he can definitely shoot it. Like, the dragon should be really good against these, but for some reason... oh, no. He's put this on missile use only against transports that have people in them. So all of these are classed as transports that don't have people in them, and that's why they're not dying. So he needs to go into his options and turn that off. So cool napalm strike, but a bit short-sighted because you're trying to go this way with all your SPWs and your infantry, and now you can't because there is fire. It would have been better off napalm grabbing this, and then you can run up here with the infantry, you know, because instead you're literally just walking into your own fire and dying. Average East German military commander, I guess. But yeah, the reason JazZka isn't killing these is because he's got his ROE set to not shoot them. So only the M113s can shoot them. Over here, still no CV sent over here. Just blobbing around without a CV. Over here, this CV, if he got some smoke, he could get it in. But he doesn't. I'm trying to check Ogo's. It's the same. He's also got it to only fire on things that have passengers in it. You want it to fire at will, you just want it to shoot everything, man. Just get it to shoot everything. MP leader destroyed. Oh, that was here. So, Red, his push has stalled out because where he's trying to go, he set on fire. But yeah, the CV tank can get... basically, you can put it behind this building. Once again, you got to turn auto cover off, but because it's a vehicle, it can't go in a building, so it won't just jump into there. So this Mott Schutzten's actually going to get in, and then a +2 is going to start for Hazamuth. That is a... should really die. Yeah. And, yeah, JazZka just sort of blobbing his tanks around, didn't leave any in defending positions, didn't put any... once you take ground, you move infantry into it, right? So you should have had an infantry in here, potentially in here, but definitely in here. And then like an ITO here, a TO2, whatever. But instead he blobbed all the way into the zone, took the zone, and then retreated from the zone, and didn't capture the zone. So... I'm not sure what the plan was there, and now he's just over here resupplying while Hazamuth moves back into the zone. Over here, yeah, interesting. I mean, these guys are just not in position. They need to get back, do something, you know. Don't just sit there while the enemy runs past you. This TO2 is not in a good spot because it can't shoot forwards. It needs to be in the front building. Preferably in this building, but definitely in the front building, because where it is, it can't actually shoot, right? And once again, because he's got it set to only fire at things that have people in it, it's not actually shooting at these. It will shoot the CV, and it'll miss, but they're not shooting at these, so these can just run around. Only his tanks are on just basically fire at everything, so they're firing at everything. Kind of weird seeing what these TO2s just missing that. Which really shouldn't be happening. There we go. And, yeah, you know, Hazamuth, he's done a good job of taking this. Now he needs to move up some ATGM teams, some Conkers, put Conkers in there, some AA, manpads and so on. Yeah, hopefully the main thing these guys learn from this game is to just go into your settings and turn missile use against transports to always, or fire at will, because you'll see that they're actually only shooting them when they've got people in them, and this is just sitting there shooting that, and it's not even shooting back. Unless you right-click it and tell it to. It just won't shoot automatically. He's right-clicked that, and he's right-clicked that, yeah, so that would have been killed a lot sooner. So... that's an interesting place to put the MLRS. I mean, you know the CV's in the zone, right? So you would surely want it in the zone, not behind the zone. So this is probably going to be okay. Whereas if it had been right on the zone, he probably would have killed him. But yeah, what a turnaround! Like Blue was doing really well, and then they just decided that they didn't want this zone and just left. And over here, you know, they got pushed out. They got pushed out of this. A lot of it was down to those ROE settings, just things not shooting. Like, look at that. I guess they can't see it. But even if they could, they wouldn't shoot it. It would just shoot them, and they wouldn't shoot back unless you right-clicked, which is really dumb. So you need to change that in your ROE settings. So here we go. He's come back to retake the zone. But he could have had it all that time if he'd just not left in the first place. Brought up a CV, one of the 10 trillion CVs. There's actually not that many left now. Another thing you can do is click up here to buy a unit. Click it on the card, click Y, and then click a building, and then it will spawn, go to the building and unload them, as opposed to this, where they're not doing that, because he's just clicked on the card and then clicked here, and so they're not unloading that. So this is just trying to buy time, I guess, because he knows that there's a lot of Rolands back there, because it killed his cluster plane here, and it killed something else before. So here we go. Okay, so he's pushing back in. Really, the CV should not be at the front. The CV should not be at the front. And because he's put the AA all the way back here, look, the CV's getting shot. CV's dead. It's going to get hit by Cocons now. Oh, okay, interesting. Because this was low cohesion, it automatically fired on that. So you need to right-click the CV. Or just wait, I guess. He's also, like, not going for the zone. There's no enemy CV in here. If you just walked in, you'd have it. Alright. These guys just watching, I guess. Don't want to take part. He's giving him a fair chance, I suppose, just leaving most of his units out of the fight. A bit of a weird one. I mean, he took it, and he did a good job taking it, and then he just kind of threw. Maybe he's a paid actor, I don't know. So, 4 minutes left. This fob has lost 3,000 supply. This has lost none. So I think I was vindicated there. And over here, this is actually used quite a bit, so I think I was vindicated there as well. So okay, so now he's trying again. Second wave. These are out of cocons. This supply could be brought up, or you could just right-click the fob, and then right-click back here, and they would resupply themselves. Red took this too, and blue never really tried to take it back. Although they got the tank. I'm not sure how it died. I wasn't watching. So these guys are being sent behind, which is interesting. Yeah, but there's no CV here. And he's not bought another one, so you know you're fighting, but you're not accomplishing anything. Even if you killed everybody in here, which already happened, there was no CV, so it doesn't matter. You need a CV, right? So they might get back in here. This is probably going to kill that. It's only 2 HP. You need the Bradley or something. You'll notice that this TOW 2, which has vision on that, isn't shooting it because they put on their ROE. This unit is only allowed to fire if the transport contains passengers. So they've got to right-click to force it to fire, and your CV's dead now. Looks like somebody's buying KDA. So, quite a few mistakes just, like, in the settings. You got to change those settings. I wonder if this guy's the set. Yeah, they've all done it. They've all done it. Listen, just put this on fire at will. You'll thank me later. All of you need to do this after this game. All 3 of you. Go into the settings. There's only 2 minutes left, so I'll just show you, right? So, escape, options, rules of engagement. Where is it? Rules of engagement, unarmed vehicles, fire at will. Rules of engagement, ground missiles. What the heck? Is mine set to that as well? What is a ground missile? Oh, I know why. It's because when I view a replay, my settings change. So look, it goes to sticky selection, which is never like that. I always have this on fire at will for all units. It's a bug. I was going to say, I don't have it set to that. I don't make that mistake. Definitely, that would be really hypocritical if I was doing the same thing as everybody else. The guys have been complaining for, you know, the whole game about. If I was doing it as well, that would be really, really hypocritical. So, yeah, I mean, it's going pretty well for red. Yeah, just, you know, the cluster planes should have been HE planes or just something else. But that is going to get a lot of guys, so mainly because he's just kind of driving into it. This is interesting. Obviously, he's not unloaded them right, but it is cool that he's done that. And so yeah, they're trying for that. I mean, really, attack move is your friend, guys. Press Q and then left click, and then you will attack move instead of. I'm noticing a lot of just move. This guy knows how to attack move. I've noticed a lot of situations like that. So look at this. Wow, you took the zone, but you didn't bother bringing the CV. And now you're just sort of lining up and dying. And over here, like, the tanks should be on attack move. Because if they get to here, you know, like, this is an anti-tank range. These guys aren't. So, with 40 seconds left, it looks like red has took it. It was a pretty close game, all things considered. But yeah, just key learnings. Change this to shoot everything. Missile use against transport should be on all. Fire at will, whatever. And mine is. Honestly, it is. Because you see it in my games. It's just when I load a replay, it just gives me, like, sticky selection and all these other things that I just never have on. So that's GG. You know, so it's, like, this is cool. Sending this here. Although, you know, you want them in anti-tank range, right? Your infantry, I mean, you should have the infantry there. And then, like, one on this road in anti-tank range. But yeah, that's GG. It's an interesting game. I mean, you know, 1v2 is tough if you're the one, if you're a player. And You know, these guys haven't had that many games. I don't think any of them have, just from those ROE settings. So hopefully they've learned something. Don't play 35th US. Do you remember when I said you don't want to napalm that because you're driving into it? There you go. Yeah, interesting game. Interesting game. Hopefully they learn some things. Interesting game. I'll see you around. GG.